Hey guys, how's it going? It's Calvin Rab, and I hope you're having a great day today. So, as you know, the world is trying to get back on track and trying to get back to some sense of normal. However, in the back of everyone's mind, and I think everyone's kind of expecting this, is once everything kind of goes back and gets back on track, it will be anything but normal. We will have a new normal that we will have to get used to. And in this video, I want to talk about that new normal and talk about what are exact changes that will be different in our new normal that will not be there before. So I've narrowed it down to 5 key changes that you can expect after COVID-19, after things are back to quote unquote normal, that will be drastically different from the world that we knew before. So these aren't in any particular order, but let's get into it and let's talk about what our new normal might look like. And if you're new here, my name is Calvin Rab. I make videos all about economics and personal finance. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe. The first change that you can expect is that masks become a common accessory. And I'm starting to see this now. And what I mean by this is masks just kind of become part of our clothing arsenal. Meaning right now we're kind of before COVID-19. If you saw someone in a mask, it wasn't insane, it wasn't crazy, but it was something like, oh, they have a mask on. And I think now it could become almost where you're like surprised to see someone without a mask on. I think coronavirus has really changed everyone's mindset to maybe a mask is a pretty good idea to wear, especially kind of post-COVID, at least for a little while. And I'm starting to see it a big change in kind of masks are going to be fashionable items, meaning I follow a lot of different clothing brands and I get all their different emails and I enjoy clothing. So I enjoy following the field altogether. And I'm starting to see that a lot of fashion designers are starting to dip their toe into masks because they're starting to see that, that could be the future, a future clothing item. And I think everyone's going to jump into it. I wouldn't be surprised if more designer masks are created. And I'm really excited to kind of see what happens within that realm. But I do think masks could just be part of our clothing arsenal in the not too distant future. And that will be part of our new normal. The second big change that you can expect is increased personal monitoring. And as you can expect, this is the most contentious and will be the most debated change of our new normal. And the reason there's going to be an increase in monitoring is because of contact tracing, which is the idea that companies and really governments want to know who is infected. And if you are infected, who have you been in contact with? Because that's kind of the key here. It comes down to, can you get in contact with people that you have been in contact with so you can let them know, hey, you need to social distance and self-isolate yourself, and if just in case you do have the virus. So this monitoring will look different, and I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but we can take an understanding from places like China. China does have contact tracing in that it's actually on their phone. So a lot of students have to show before they go into school some app that has like a green X, I believe, that shows that they do not have the virus, and the government is actually able to track who has the virus, where they go, who they've been in contact with, and this will be a very contentious debate, especially here in the US, people take their privacy very seriously, and I think this is something that will raise a lot of concern, and I already see it right now, but I do think increased monitoring will be very important for especially college students who are going back to school and big groups are getting back together. You need to know who has the virus, who they've been in contact with, and it'll be interesting to see how it kind of turns out. And I do think this will be part of our distant future even after coronavirus, because the government now needs to ask, how can we prevent this in the future? And I think this is going to be the way that they see it. So it's going to be advertised as being you have to sacrifice some personal privacy for overall security and different things like that. And it will be an interesting debate, but I do think that is going to be what is going to be happening in our new normal. Change number 3 that you can expect is that working from home becomes normal. Right now, there aren't that many people that do work from home. Almost everyone commutes to a specific office and then they come home after work. But I think what's really happened through this coronavirus is a lot of big companies are saying, hey, this kind of works. Everyone's now home, everyone is now online, and it's working. Our company is still running. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to look at kind of P&L statements and look, man, we are spending tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars per month on buildings. That isn't just rent to be in the building, but it's also staffing it, cleaning the building, keeping up with food service and different things like that. And it is expensive to be in those buildings. And they're saying, hey, like, they're at home and it's working. And I think this is something that a lot of businesses will now switch to. Also, in the past few years, there's been a lot of dislike for that common 9 to 5, you know, going to work, getting there at 9, leaving at 5. And I think a lot of people have disliked that. And coronavirus has shown that you can still have your job and be more flexible. You know, you can be at home, be a little more in control of your hours and in control of what you do during the day because you don't have to worry about a certain commute. There will also be different things taken into consideration, you know, like traffic and pollution and different things like that. And I think working from home will become very standard. A lot of people will start having just offices in their house, and I think this is a big revolution. I think this is one of the biggest changes that coronavirus is going to do. Is I think it's really shifting everyone to an online format, and I think this could be a big deal. Coming from like an economics perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense. Change number 4, and I kind of touched upon this in number 3, but I think it's different enough that it needs to be talked about, and that is a shift to an online world. And I think coronavirus is really what kind of took us across that bridge of, okay, we have the technology, but now it's time to use it, and now completely change the way we live. So what I mean by a shift online world isn't so much, okay, you're working from home, that is part of it, but I think a lot of businesses are now going to make that leap of now being completely online. And as far as some examples, I think this could be easily something like hospitals. You know, hospital visits now being, there's this whole idea of telemedicine and different things like that, and it being over a call. That way you don't have to wait, say, in a doctor's office or anything else like that, and just making things a little bit easier. So this will also be accessible to people that maybe getting to a hospital is rather hard. There are also things like therapy sessions that are now going online and are now over things like Zoom and different video chat services, and I think that could be there to stay as well, because oftentimes getting to therapy sessions is what holds people back from doing it. And outside of kind of that medical related thing, I think we're also going to see maybe a lot more shows being online. I think right now I have a lot of friends that love going to concerts, and a lot of their favorite artists are now doing online shows, and I think that now could be something that is incorporated. So maybe you can go to a concert or you could watch it online and different things like that. So all these businesses are now making the shift to being online. And it'll be interesting to see how this changes. And I think really there is a whole industry here that is about to just be uprooted. I think Zoom was the one that had the best market control so far, but I think these video conferencing apps will get so much better. They're so much cleaner and without that much of an issue. You know, I still find a few hiccups and different things like that with Zoom, and I do see a couple other people throwing their hat in the ring trying to create the best video chat service. So I do think that everything's going to shift online, and now a whole industry is going to rise up of this kind of telecommunication for all different types of businesses and fields. And then one other industry that I think is going to be huge, that it was kind of already getting big, it was already kind of hyped up and hot before coronavirus, is that idea of virtual workout sessions. You know, you don't have to go to the gym anymore. You can just have stuff in your house, have basic equipment or really no equipment at all, and be able to go through a workout, you know, things like Peloton and different things like that. I understand that is very expensive, but I do think there will be cheaper options that are also good that will come out as well. So I think that is another industry that can also go online, because gyms, after they open, you know, people are gonna be like, oh, people are sweating, breathing all over each other. Is that something I really want to go into? So I think gyms will really look at that online format and ask, you know, what can I do? The fifth change that I see happening is there's going to be a new social pressure to be cleanly and to be clean. And I think this is something that coronavirus really started. You know, after this, everyone really got in the habit of always washing their hands, you know, using hot water, using a lot of soap, doing it for a longer amount of time. And there will be a new social pressure to now be clean. And I think this will affect us in a multitude of different ways. So it'll affect us personally, but it'll also affect the way that we do business. So specific personally, I think this idea of social distancing, even if, there aren't strict social distancing rules, I still think people in the back of their minds are still going to try to keep their distance. And I think this is something that will stick for a long time. And I think people will continue to wear masks. And I wouldn't be surprised now if you get in a long line, even after coronavirus, even if you don't need to have, 6 feet apart, I do think people will still stay distant from one another. And I think that is just because there's this new idea of cleanliness. I think people are now starting to focus on it. And one thing that I have noticed, I've had the unique opportunity to travel to different countries and experience different cultures. And from my perspective and what I've seen from others is that America isn't as focused on being cleanly and clean as other countries are. And I think this was kind of America's not so much a wake-up call, but just kind of a realization that, hey, we can be cleaner. And I do think that is something that America will adapt and be a little bit more cleaner, as many other cultures already have cleanliness part of their personal culture. And so that's the personal side. There will be that increased focus on cleanliness, but it will also affect businesses. So I think businesses now will really take pride in the fact of how clean they are. So before coronavirus, yeah, businesses may be clean, but they never really talked about it. I wouldn't be surprised now if in advertisements for say food or restaurants or anything like that, that they talk about how clean they are when they make it, that maybe movie theaters brag about that everything is completely wiped down and clean every single night. Maybe movie theaters do that, but now it's going to be advertised. And I think just there's going to be a strict social pressure for businesses to be clean. And when there's a social pressure, businesses then take that into consideration. And because they want to increase customers, they will abide by the pressures that customers subject on the business. So I think that is something that will change businesses for a while. And I think all together, this will make us more clean and more aware of it. And there will be different interpersonal changes as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't as many handshakes, because I think a lot of people feel very uneasy about handshakes. It is a way that viruses like this can spread and different things like that. So it was funny. I was actually going through the New York Times and they had a piece about kind of the death of the handshake. Of course, it was a satirical article, but it was kind of funny. And I do think, when I think about it, that handshakes could be slightly taboo for a little while, in that, no one's really touched one another in a long time. And I think a handshake may take a little while to get people around to it. Or maybe I'm completely out of bounds here and everyone's just going to go right back to nice firm handshakes. But I do think there will be an increased focus on cleanliness. So that will wrap it up. Those are 5 key changes that I think will happen when things go back to normal, quote unquote. I do think that these will be part of our new normal. The world, I do not think, will look the same, and I think it will be quite different for a long time. In fact, I do think there are very lasting changes that this virus has caused. I actually made a whole other video about, lasting effects that coronavirus will have. So I recommend checking that video out as well to see, how coronavirus has really changed maybe humanity forever. So be sure to check out that video as well. But this one is going to come to a conclusion, and I now want to turn it to you. What are some other changes that you see happening, and what do you think is going to be different in our new normal? So these were the 5. I do think there will be a lot more different ones that are going to be important to talk about. So let me know in the comments below what you believe our new normal is going to look like, how it's going to be different, and let's just have a good conversation, because this could be not that far away, and it's going to be interesting. It'll be fascinating. And I always think back to if I had told myself 6 months ago, what the world was like today, it would be unbelievable. And just what we take as normal now is so different from before. So that's just something to take into consideration, and also impressive of how fast we adapt. This is a whole different tangent, but I was actually talking to some of my friends and I was just saying how impressive, of course, we were social distancing, this was over Zoom, but we were talking about how impressed we are with the world adapting this quickly. Within a matter of weeks for businesses to completely change to a new format, a new style of business, and it's unbelievable. So that's just something to chew on, and just let me know in the comments below. I look forward to talking to you guys there. So that will wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching this video. I understand that it is a crazy time right now, so when you take videos out, when you take time out of your day to watch my videos, I truly appreciate it. So thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. As always, my name is Calvin Rabb, and I'll see you soon. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. So I'm gonna move to the corner of your screen here. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you are gonna see my most recent video. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you're gonna see a video that YouTube and I each think that you would like. And if you haven't yet, you can hit my face right here and subscribe. As always, my name is Calvin Rabb, and I'll see you soon.